Edison Lighthouse was the most hated band of the 70s, but did they deserve that label? Their catchy songs caused quite a stir, sparking strong reactions and debates that lasted the whole decade. It was a time when music could divide people, and Edison Lighthouse wasn't the only band that got a lot of heat. Many other bands also faced harsh criticism, making the 70s a decade of disagreements and unforgettable music dramas also. When we rewind to the 1970s, the airwaves were bursting with groundbreaking tunes, but not every band hit the right notes with their audience. Enter Edison Lighthouse, a band that soared to the top with their catchy tune, Love Grows, Where My Rosemary Goes. This song, irresistibly catchy and upbeat, made them a household name almost overnight in 1970. But fame is fickle, and their journey was anything but smooth. Edison Lighthouse was often tagged as a one-hit wonder, a label that stuck hard and fast.
The rare and paradoxical distinction of being a one-hit wonder.
Their claim to fame, Love Grows, was a pop sensation, charming its way into the hearts of millions and securing the top spot on the UK charts. Yet the more people listened, the more they began to question. Was there more to Edison Lighthouse than this one hit? As it turned out, not much. The band struggled to replicate their initial success, leaving fans and critics wanting more. The real drama kicked in with the sudden departure of their lead singer, Tony Burrows. Tony wasn't just the voice behind the hit, he was a significant part of their identity. His exit left a void that the band couldn't fill, causing turmoil and instability. Without Burrows, Edison Lighthouse tried to sail on, but soon found themselves lost at sea. They attempted to release more music, but nothing stuck. It was as if they had vanished from the public's memory as quickly as they had entered it. Their story became one of pop music's classic tales of fleeting fame. The band's rapid rise and fall showcased the harsh realities of the music industry in the 70s. At that time, authenticity was crucial, and unfortunately, many felt Edison Lighthouse lacked depth. Their music, while initially catchy, didn't hold up against the scrutiny of time and the evolving tastes of their audience. Today, when we look back at the bands of the 70s, Edison Lighthouse serves as a reminder of how quickly the tides can turn in the music business. They remain a symbol of that era, a time capsule of sorts, reminding us of the transient nature of fame and the relentless pursuit of musical innovation that defined a decade. What happened when the Buggles brought music to MTV? Let's turn back the clock to 1979, a year that would forever change the landscape of music and television. Enter the Buggles, a band that catapulted to fame with their groundbreaking hit, Video Killed the Radio Star. This song wasn't just catchy, it was prophetic. It told a story of a future where television and video would overshadow radio, changing how we consumed music forever. The irony, it became the first ever video to air on MTV 2 years later in 1981, marking the dawn of the music video era. The Buggles were pioneers of the new wave style, a genre that melded pop with electronic music, creating sounds that were futuristic for the time. Yet, while their music was innovative, it didn't sit well with everyone. To some, it felt too polished, too synthetic, like it traded the soul of music for a glimpse into a tech-driven future. Critics and some listeners dismissed the band as a gimmick, a one-trick pony that couldn't possibly carve out a lasting place in music history. Although Video Killed the Radio Star made a seismic impact, the Buggles struggled to maintain their momentum. Their journey through the music world was swift and tumultuous. After their initial surge, the public's fascination began to wane. They released a second album, but it failed to ignite the same excitement as their debut. The rapid decline in their popularity was a stark contrast to their explosive entrance onto the scene. Their career, though brief, was like a shooting star, brilliant and spectacular, yet fleeting. The Buggles were not just musicians. They were messengers of a new era, heralding the massive shifts that would soon sweep through the entertainment world. Their legacy, encapsulated in that iconic song, remains a testament to the transformative power of video in the music industry. While their time in the spotlight was short, their influence on how music was presented and appreciated continues to echo through the decades. Can a song about war become a pop hit? Up next, Donaldson and the Heywoods. In the swirl of the 1970s, a catchy tune titled "Billy Don't Be a Hero" hit the airwaves, performed by Donaldson and the Heywoods. The song, with its catchy melody and poppy beat, quickly climbed the charts, but beneath its upbeat sound lay a story of war and sacrifice that resonated deeply with listeners during a time when the Vietnam War was still a fresh wound in America's consciousness. "Billy Don't Be a Hero" tells the tale of a young man who goes off to war and is urged by his fiancée to stay safe rather than seek heroism. Ignoring her pleas, Billy chooses to volunteer for a dangerous mission from which he does not return. The song's chorus, catchy yet somber, became a sing-along anthem, yet many listeners misunderstood its core message. Released during the tail end of the Vietnam War, many interpreted it as a direct commentary on the conflict, even though it was initially penned with the American Civil War in mind. The band's approach to this serious theme through a light-hearted pop song drew sharp criticism. Critics argued that the band trivialized the grim realities of war, packaging it into a radio-friendly format that glossed over the true horrors faced by soldiers and their families. This disconnect between the song's serious content and its pop execution led to a polarized reception from the public. After their hit soared to the top of the charts, Donaldson and the Heywoods struggled to replicate their success. The spotlight that had once shone so brightly began to dim rapidly. As the 70s progressed, their subsequent releases failed to capture the public's interest, marking their descent as swift as their rise. The band that had once headlined charts soon faded into the background, remembered mostly for a song that captured the contradictions of its time, a catchy tune that masked a narrative of loss and the futility of war. How did one song define Maurice Albert's career? In the mid-70s, Maurice Albert gifted the world a song that would become notoriously known for its heart-on-sleeve sentimentality. "Feelings." This ballad, dripping with emotional expression, quickly became a fixture on radio stations, crooning about love lost and the lingering emotions that come with it. However, its very sentimentality, which initially captured hearts, soon turned into the butt of jokes. The song's dramatic lyrics and Albert's lush delivery made it an easy target for parodies, from comedy sketches to playful renditions at karaoke bars. After the initial success of "Feelings," Maurice Albert struggled to climb the charts again. None of his subsequent releases managed to capture the same attention or evoke the widespread emotional response that "Feelings" had stirred. This one-hit wonder label stuck to him as tightly as the lyrics of his famous song stuck in the heads of those who heard it. Adding to the complexity of his career was a significant legal battle that erupted around "Feelings." It was revealed that the melody of "Feelings" closely mirrored that of a song composed by Lulu Gastet, a French songwriter years earlier. The ensuing lawsuit ended in Gastet's favor, marking a painful and costly defeat for Albert. This legal issue not only impacted his financial standing, but also his reputation in the music industry. These challenges, his inability to produce another hit, the parodies of his most famous song, and the damaging legal troubles combined to cast a shadow over Maurice Albert's career. The man who once soared on the charts with a song that touched countless listeners found himself struggling under the weight of subsequent failures and a tarnished legacy. What makes Rupert Holmes's tropical tune stand out? In the late 70s, Rupert Holmes released a tune that would become iconic for its catchy chorus and whimsical lyrics. The Piña Colada song, officially titled "Escape." With its easy-going melody and a tale of a man seeking an adventurous love affair, the song struck a chord with listeners, climbing to the top of the charts. Yet its reception was as mixed as the drink it celebrates. While many found its catchy tune and quirky lyrics endearing, others criticized it for its portrayal of escapism in relationships. "Escape," met with polarized views, nonetheless propelled Holmes into the spotlight, granting him a brief but intense period of fame. However, his subsequent singles failed to replicate the success of the Piña Colada song, leading many to label him a one-hit wonder. This tag, often seen as dismissive in the music industry, clung to Holmes even as he continued to produce music. Not one to be pigeonholed, Rupert Holmes ventured beyond the constraints of pop music. His interests and talents led him to the world of musical theatre, a shift that would redefine his career. In the theatre, Holmes found a new avenue for his storytelling, embracing the complexity of musical narratives over the simplicity of pop songs. His most notable work in theatre, the musical The Mystery of Edwin Drood, not only earned critical acclaim, but also clinched several Tony Awards, affirming Holmes's prowess as a versatile artist. Even with his achievements in theatre, the shadow of his one-hit wonder status never fully lifted. Public sentiment remained fixated on the Piña Colada song, a tune that, for better or worse, defined his public image. Holmes's journey from pop music to Broadway highlights the fickle nature of fame and the challenges artists face when they are defined by a single, albeit monumental hit. Ever heard a love song about muskrats? Captain and Tennille did just that. In the vibrant tapestry of 70s pop music, Captain and Tennille emerged with a track that was as whimsical as it was bewildering. Muskrat Love, a song about muskrats romancing each other, complete with sound effects simulating their whispers and scurries, it certainly stood out. Its oddity, or perhaps because of it, captured listeners' imaginations and helped the song climb the charts. But not everyone was amused. Critics and some fans scratched their heads, puzzled by the duo's choice to spotlight such an unconventional love story in their repertoire. The peak of Muskrat Love's fame or infamy came when Captain and Tennille performed it at the White House in 1976 for Queen Elizabeth II. This performance remains one of the most talked-about moments in the duo's career. The choice of such a quirky song for a state dinner was bold and left many amused, but others questioned the appropriateness of the selection. The event was a spectacle that, for better or worse, cemented the song's place in pop culture history. Years passed, and the duo continued to make music, but the quirky shadow of Muskrat Love lingered. Eventually, personal challenges led to Captain and Tennille's split in 2014 after nearly 40 years of marriage and collaboration. This breakup was not just the end of a marriage, but also marked the dissolution of a musical partnership that had entertained fans for decades. The split impacted how fans and historians viewed their musical legacy. While they had enjoyed massive hits and were once darlings of pop music, their later years were overshadowed by their past and the enduring strangeness of Muskrat Love. This song, once merely a quirky blip on the musical radar, grew to symbolize their career's whimsical and unpredictable nature. How did Kiss turn concerts into epic shows? Find out next. In the heart of the 1970s, Kiss burst onto the rock scene, not just with their music, but with a style that turned every performance into a spectacle. With their iconic makeup, elaborate costumes, and explosive stage shows, Kiss wasn't just a band, they were an event. Their concerts were filled with fire-breathing, blood-spitting, and guitar-smashing antics that drew crowds by the thousands. However, this over-the-top theatricality divided audiences and critics alike. While many fans thrived on the band's energy and flair, others criticized them for focusing too much on performance rather than substance. Critics often argued that Kiss's music played second fiddle to their visual presentation. They claimed that the band's success was built on their image rather than their musical talent. This notion of style over substance stuck with the band throughout their career, even as they continued to produce hits that have since become rock anthems. Songs like Rock and Roll All Night, Detroit Rock City, and Beth showed that Kiss could indeed produce music that resonated with their audience, combining catchy hooks with rock and roll swagger. Kiss's influence on rock music extends beyond just their sound. They pioneered a way of merging music with an unforgettable live experience, setting a standard for theatricality in rock performances. This approach influenced countless bands that followed, integrating various performance elements into their shows to enhance the concert experience. However, their divisive legacy among music critics persists. Some praise the band for transforming rock concerts into theatrical events, while others dismiss them as mere entertainers without true musical depth. Beyond these debates, Kiss's impact is undeniable. They turned their band into a brand, with their faces adorning everything from lunchboxes to comic books, proving that rock was not only about music, but also about the spectacle and the experience. Now let's see how the Doors managed without their lead singer. After the tragic loss of Jim Morrison in 1971, the Doors faced the monumental task of moving forward without their charismatic frontman. Morrison's poetic lyrics and distinctive voice were integral to the Doors' identity, leaving the band at a crossroads. Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore, the remaining members, made the bold decision to continue, with Manzarek and Krieger stepping up to handle the vocals. The post-Morrison era of The Doors kicked off with the release of Other Voices in late 1971, an album fully recorded after Morrison's death. Even with their efforts to retain the band's experimental spirit, the album received a lukewarm response. Fans missed Morrison's deep melodic intonations and his flair for weaving intricate, mysterious narratives into the music. The absence of his voice was palpable, and the change did not sit well with many of their followers. Continuing their journey, The Doors released Full Circle in 1972, another attempt to forge a path forward. This album, too, struggled to capture the magic of their earlier works. Critics pointed out that while the music was competent, it lacked the passion and edge that Morrison brought to the table. The lyrics felt less inspired, the songs missing that raw, emotional pull that had defined The Doors' sound. The criticism wasn't just about what was missing, it was about what was left. Without Morrison, the band seemed to drift towards more conventional rock sounds, straying from the dark, unique blend of rock and poetry that had made them icons. This shift alienated some fans and critics who had been drawn to the band's originality and depth. By 1973, after releasing 2 albums without Morrison, The Doors decided to disband. The challenge of maintaining the band's distinctive identity without its most iconic member proved too great. The post-Morrison albums, though crafted with care, were often seen as footnotes in the band's history, overshadowed by the earlier groundbreaking works that had captivated a generation. How did Led Zeppelin maintain their rock reign amid controversy? Led Zeppelin, a name synonymous with the rock and roll revolution, stirred more than just the music scene in the 1970s. They shook societal norms with their thunderous music and wild lifestyles. Known for their loud, boundary-pushing sound, they were often at the center of controversies, challenging conservative values and drawing criticism from various corners. Their music, characterized by heavy guitar riffs and Robert Plant's piercing vocals, was groundbreaking. Yet it wasn't just their sound that made waves. Their offstage antics and hedonistic lifestyle fueled a media frenzy. Stories of wild parties and reckless behavior painted them not just as musicians, but as rock and roll rebels. This lifestyle, while embraced by legions of fans, drew sharp rebukes from conservative critics who saw them as a bad influence on the youth of the day. During the 70s, the media often spotlighted Led Zeppelin's every move, magnifying their excesses. This attention wasn't always flattering. Newspapers and TV shows criticized their loud concerts, which were said to embody the decadence of rock music. This criticism reached a peak when their lyrical content and on-stage antics were questioned for moral reasons, adding fuel to the fire of their controversial image. Beyond these challenges, Led Zeppelin's influence on music and culture was undeniable. They pioneered a style of rock that integrated blues, rock, and folk music, setting the stage for countless bands that followed. Albums like Led Zeppelin 4 and songs like Stairway to Heaven became legendary, celebrated for their innovation and artistry. Their lasting impact can be seen in the way their music continues to be revered and revisited by new generations of fans and musicians. Led Zeppelin's ability to withstand criticism and controversy speaks to the power of their music and the changing social landscape of their time. They didn't just survive the challenges, they used them to fuel their journey, ultimately cementing their place as rock legends. Edison Lighthouse and other bands faced so much backlash in the 70s. From one-hit wonders to misunderstood tunes, their stories highlight the unpredictable nature of music fame. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts on these bands, or share any other music mysteries you'd like us to explore next.